Okay folks, today we're making New Mexico red chili sauce from the ground powder of the New Mexico red chili. Here's the red chili powder, and this is from the Fruit Basket in Albuquerque, New Mexico. This is sun-dried, which I recommend. And I cook the medium. I live in Idaho, so I cook the medium because sometimes I have guests and they can't handle the hot. But you can get whatever, obviously whatever heat you want. I figured out a way to do this chili sauce from powder from years and years of trial and error. And I think I figured out the best way to do it. Comes out just about like it would if you were using pods. And pods are a great way to do it, but since I live far away from New Mexico, the most efficient way for me to get the red chili is to get it in the powder form. And all I do is order it from the Fruit Basket, and they send it to me in a flat rate box, and I'm good to go for months. So anyway, here we go. So the first thing you do is you're going to mix your dry ingredients in a small crock pot. This is a Rival crock pot, typical small to medium sized crock pot. I'm not too sure about what the sizes are, but in any case, here are the dry ingredients. Here we have the New Mexico green chili, and it's good to get a good look at it here because of the color. It's a beautiful red, kind of orangey color, and so you're going to use a half a cup. Go ahead and dump that in there, and you can of course multiply the ingredients for larger quantities. This'll serve about 4 to 6 people for a typical New Mexico meal where you're drenching the food in the red chili. So here we have 1 teaspoon of garlic powder. Here we have 2 teaspoons of salt, and here we have 1.5 tablespoons of flour, just all-purpose white flour. Okay, we're just going to go ahead and dump that right in there. Okay, and once you have all the dry ingredients in there, you're going to want to mix it up real good with the fork and make sure that if any lumps in the chili are gone. Okay, so here I am mixing it up, making sure all those lumps are gone. And this helps to it's easier to incorporate it when it's dry with the powder, and it actually it makes it very even when you end up adding the liquid, the water to it. Okay, and then we wait to add, there's 2 more ingredients. You're going to add a garlic clove to kind of balance out the flavor of the garlic, and you're going to add 1 tablespoon of lard. Okay, that's getting pretty good and incorporated, mixed up, and even. Okay, and once you do that, you start with the water. And what I like to do is we've got 2 cups of water. Okay, and that's about what you're going to have. On this batch of New Mexico powder, I noticed that it tends to draw in more of the water, so I'm using a little bit more than 2 cups. It just depends on your powder. Okay, so what I like to do is I like to pour in maybe about a half a cup, something like that, and then turn what's in there into a paste right away, so that it just makes it a lot easier and quicker to get it all smoothed out and incorporated. That's what you want. You want a nice smooth kind of a paste first, and then after all that water has gotten into all the dry stuff, then you go ahead and add the rest of the water and then just mix it all together. So I'm going to just go ahead and dump all that water in there. It just makes it a lot quicker and easier. Okay, and so now we've got all the water in there, and now we're just going to kind of stir until it all evens out. And really what you're trying to do with this is you're trying to incorporate the flavors, cook the chili, and when you're cooking that chili, what you're doing is you're rehydrating it. Okay, so you start seeing when you're mixing it, you start seeing a little bit of that foam on the top there, and that's an indication that you're already starting to rehydrate the chili, because that's the air coming out of the little bits of the chili. And so really what the cooking process does is that just continues that process of rehydrating the chili and actually cooking it. So you can tell at the end of the process that the chili's cooked when that white stuff starts turning into kind of orange or red, and the foam gets less and less. With the cooking, it'll increase. I kind of decreased it there with the stirring, but you'll see it. And anyway, I'm going to give you the amount of time and the way to cook it in this crock pot so that it comes out just about perfect. You might have to keep an eye on it a little bit, but it should come out just about perfect when you cook it the way with the timing and everything. Okay, so now we've got that all pretty much incorporated. It's feeling pretty smooth. There's no more solid feeling parts there. And so now what we do is we're almost really done with this. You're going to add this is one tablespoon of lard, and this is extremely important. Please. It's very important for the flavor. New Mexico food tends to be kind of pork, have a pork overtone to it. There's a lot of New Mexico food that uses lard or rendered pig fat or bacon grease and stuff like that, and that's a real typical flavor. And if you don't use it, it's not gonna taste authentic, but it's not gonna taste as good either, in my opinion. So if you're afraid of lard, maybe you know, you need to kind of study it, because it really shouldn't be any less healthy than shortening or any other oil or anything like that. I highly recommend that you use lard. Okay, so the lard is in there, and I'm going to split this garlic clove in half so that it's easy to remove. You just want that oil from the garlic clove in there along with the garlic powder. So I'm going to grab a knife real quick. We'll go ahead and split that in half, and we're just going to drop it in there. Okay, and we are just about done. All we're going to do now is we're going to cover it, turn it on high for 2 hours, and we're going to plug it in, cook it on high for 2 hours. You're going to check it a couple of times during that 2 hours to make sure that there's not a lot of overcooked chili around the edges, because it can tend to do that. And you just want to kind of stir it a couple of times during the process, and you're going to be good to go. Get that lid on it. I like to use the metal lid instead of the plastic. And that's it. That's the whole process, folks. So please feel free to comment. And if you definitely, if you try this recipe, I know that if you follow the directions, it's going to come out perfect. You're going to be amazed, and you're going to have a great New Mexico chili sauce there to use on your New Mexico food. Okay, so we've been cooking the chili for exactly 1 hour and 5 minutes, and I just wanted to show you what it's going to look like when you check it and stir it and see what the foam is doing and all that good stuff. Alright, here we go. Okay, so it looks like the foam is starting to turn kind of orangey. You see that? And it looks like it's incorporating really well. A lot of that white foam is gone, but when we stir it up, it's gonna continue to rise to the surface. You see that? So it's looking really good. There's not much overcooked on the side here. There's a little bit, and I just scraped that off with the fork. It comes off real easy if you don't leave it for too long. We left it for about an hour, a little over an hour. And now you're seeing all that good white foam coming up from the bottom. And when that foam is still like that, that means you know you got to keep cooking it. So we're going to keep cooking it for about another hour, and we will come back to it then and see what it looks like then, and it should be done at that time. Okay. Okay, we're going to check it one more time. Okay, we're checking it one more time before this will be the last time before we stop cooking it. And yeah, it's looking like it's almost done. We got very little white foaming up at the top, but let's stir it and see how it goes. The chili's starting to get a little darker too. Yeah, I think it's going to be ready in about 10-15 minutes, something like that. So that's just about right. About 2 hours. It's getting the right thickness too. Should be about the thickness of a tomato soup, so that it just pours right over whatever it is you're going to be eating with the chili. It's whether it's tamales, pozole, burritos, enchiladas, stuffed sopapillas. Yeah, it's looking really good. Alright, so that's our last check. We're going to let it keep cooking, and then I'll show you what it looks like when it's completely done. Okay, it's about 15 minutes later, and I think we're done. So let's take a look. Yeah, all that foam is looking orangey red. Most of it is red, and there's some orange, and so there's no white. I'm going to go ahead and give it a stir here, and we're not getting any more white foam from the bottom. That means all of the chili is now rehydrated, and we are ready to go. It smells amazing. That's another way to tell if it's ready, is if you feel like you just want to eat it right now because of the smell, then it's probably ready. So, and that's it, folks. That is New Mexico red chili from powder, and I think that's the best way to make it. Okay, everybody, I thought I would go ahead and show you the typical way to use the New Mexico red chili sauce, the way they do in New Mexico. I just put together for dinner here a couple of bean and cheese burritos, and what I'm going to do, you can put the red chili inside the burrito, but a real typical thing in New Mexico to do, it's very authentic, is to smother whatever it is you're eating with the chili, whether it's burritos, tacos, I'm sorry, not tacos, but tamales, enchiladas, stuffed sopapillas. This is what we do, is we call it smothering. And so I went ahead and I got some of that red chili sauce that we made, and there it is. There's a good look of it right there under the light. And all I'm going to do is pour it right on top and cover everything on these burritos. And that's actually what it looks like. You can typically have more or less if you want, but that's about what it's going to look like for a typical New Mexico entree. Okay.